Okay, here is a video. I'm sorry about the little arm showing in the upper right hand corner, but I can't figure out how to get this to work. So anyway, here's the newest custom junk journal that I've done. Wing wanted both of the signatures decorated, so it's very, very fat. And it took me forever to do because I was dealing with some personal things too, which kind of derailed my creativity. But we're back on track, and here we are. So I love the cover. I actually thought about keeping this, but you know, you can't keep every book. So there's a slight shadow, and I apologize for that too, but here we go. Oops, I always do that. This is Sorry ribbon. It's very frayed. I hope it lasts. So this is the cover. I usually try and put one of these ex libris things so she can, in the cover, so that the owner can put their own name. And I made a little collage with some stuff that I tea stained, the stories of her hobby. So I'm going to try not to talk too much because this is going to take a while to get through. But envelope that I made into a pocket with 3 things. There's a vintage postcard in there from, let's see, let me just take them all out. This is Spanish. Easter greeting card from, it's not dated, but I'm assuming it's the early 1900s. A French card. I will put those back in there later. I made a little kind of pocket thing here. Here's one of my Orphan Charm paper clips. She loved those. So I made a little poem, Good Friends Love You. Just doing something funny. Wallpaper. I used this music flashcard and made it into a journaling card with a small collage on it. Go back again. Sorry. Whoops. Try and get these off. This is from a book that I got at an estate sale about ceramic tiles. So it was bright white. I tea stained it. Little illustration spot. And here's the thing that I love to do in these journals, which is graduated pages of from different books, different ages. Sorry, the table's wiggling a bit. I'm gonna sit down. And you know, the doily with the postage stamp, another postage stamp. The colors are kind of on the same I'm not really thinking very clearly here. Same color scheme, oranges, browns, yellows, so, and nature. So there's another little collage with W for Wing, which is the name of the new owner. And I've just included lots of little bits of ephemera, little trim. This is an old card from like a florist. You would include it with your bouquets. I made a couple of tags from scraps with some words on them, just for the heck of it. This one was really challenging because I needed to come up with ideas to fill basically 128 pages of journaling landscape, and that's kind of hard, so it took a long time to get through this. So anyway, I hope she likes it. I really do. This is her second one that she's purchased from me. So this is, I'm not going to undo this. This has some very tiny black and white illustrations. And I bought this book this weekend from my friend Mary Kay, who picks for me, and it had really great illustrations. So I kind of wanted to include some of that. Then I did a little collage-y thing here in the corner, little bits of ephemera. This is some stationery that I bought at, I think, Goodwill. It's from, used to be Frederick and Nelson's. I think I've mentioned this before, then it became Macy's, and now Macy's downtown is closing. So, illustration, little thing on ledger paper. This is a little from a book of prayers, and it's Ordinary of the Mass. I think it's Catholic. It was a little teeny black and white book that I've actually turned into an itty bitty journal, but I just like the graphics here, not necessarily what it says. So this could certainly be covered up with something else. These journals are meant to be added to and subtracted from. If you like some of the stuff in the ephemera, then you could remove it, put it in other projects, or move it around the whole the book. So this one's pretty packed though, so there's not a whole lot of wiggle room, but a little vintage trim. Another W. She asked for postage stamps and bus tickets and all kinds of little bits, so I kind of included these. I think these are they're either from Susie Blankenship at Paper Harbor Co. or Mad Fox Studios, which is Madison. So I buy a lot from them, although I've expanded my purchasing to a couple of other vendors. I was just going through some old books as I was working on this book and found this, and I thought that's kind of cool. Once Upon a Time. Another W and a bird. So a lot of this is self-explanatory. This I've left empty and blank because I want her to have some space to add to or rearrange. So not every single page of the 128 has something on it, but I tried to. This was a contemporary greeting card that I turned into a tag. This is from a cookbook, and it was all about potatoes. So this I just wrapped journal paper around this transparent paper so that it so that you don't get too much bleed through on the other side, which is contradictory to what I'm doing. I like to kind of keep things seamless, so I picked up postage stamps to go with this nautical scene of I think it's Venice. It was from an old vintage book. These are more book plates, which I have lightly tacked onto the page so they could easily be removed. I had these dictionary cards, which I, a couple years ago, decided to play with tea and food coloring. So you add red to tea and it becomes pink, which is kind of fun. Self-explanatory, little bits of paper, more tags. So lots of space for writing on. She could add something to this if she wanted to, or leave it. Journaling space. Another place where she could tuck something in that she wanted to. Blank to add. So and then I wrapped this around too. Just kind of, it's an easy way to add an interesting element to a journaling page. This is sort of my little ode to all things Japanese. I went to an estate sale and bought a bunch of Japanese stuff. So this is a sewing pattern from Japan, calendar from Japan. This is an illustration. I believe that's Mount Fuji in the background there. This illustration is from the 1930s or 1940s. It's from my favorite series of book called My Book House, which I think there was like 8 books in the series illustrated by a variety of contemporary to that period illustrators. So great artwork and really colorful. This is a German vocabulary card, which I just did a bunch of tea staining this weekend, so this is one of them. And I just attached it to this transparent page because you have the German on the one side and you can actually see the English on the other side. So it's just simply glued on there. This is from that tile book, and I just wrapped it around on this page, and then I also wrapped around this is from a vest that I bought last week at Goodwill when I went to pick through the bins. And I love the it was a embroidered vest, completely embroidered, lots of different flowers and leaves and stuff, so I just chopped it apart. This is all things baby. I'm not gonna do that. There's a blank white page for journaling. This is actually vintage paper. This butterfly is lightly tacked on also, so it could be easily removed. This is an envelope written. I have a bunch of stuff that I picked up in an estate sale from correspondence that happened between two families, one in Seattle and one in the Philippines. This one did not have a letter in it, so I've just included some different types of forms and papers. And here is another one of my earring charms. Whoops, skipping pages. This wrapping paper I picked up at the bins last week, and I just love this illustration. She seemed so joyful, and then she danced. So lots of journaling space in there. This is a little folding thing I tried to do just to be creative because I was running out of ideas, and this is all vintage foreign language text that I made into a little card that replicates the fold that I did, lightly tacked with washi tape, which is very safe because it's never usually sticky. It's more of those pink tags that I dyed, and then these are some vintage canning labels that were stuck together in a book, and I soaked them and separated them, and now I have a ton of these, so it's really fun. Coconut macaroons. I'd love to have some of those. A little belly band here with some of this illustration or this decoration, which I've used earlier in another spot. It was on the same page, and I just cut it apart. This is from, I used to work with a woman years ago whose family was originally from Lebanon, and they had a lace manufacturing company in New Jersey, and she gave me a whole bunch of stuff from their family inventory. And this came in a huge sheet, and I just have been continuously cutting little snippets of it and including it in the junk journals that I make. Playful seals. This is from a big old calendar from the early 2000s that I cut off the little examples on the back page and tea stained them, and have been using those in various journals too. Cigarette card, another stamp. I've left this blank because it's so busy. There's so much going on, and I didn't want to like overload this section here. Oh, here's the other side of that decoration that I just showed you with lined paper. This is music paper. Also journal here. This is a journal tag that I made out of an old vintage illustration from a book about nature. This is a pocket here with a bunch of Japanese and Chinese stuff. The photos are from a Japanese book from that same estate sale. These cards I've had forever, and I've been hoarding them, but I'm letting one go. So that's the first signature. Second signature is some of these Japanese cards that I got from the same estate sale. Wing lives in Taiwan, and so I did kind of want to add a little more of an Asian theme to this. This is another one of those cards that a florist would use. A friend of mine picked them for me, so I just have included this. This card can be removed, and it's got a really nice rice paper inside. You could write on it. Butterflies, of course. And she loves illustrations of children and stuff, so that's a little circle that I cut. She didn't want photographs of people, so I did not include any of the little circles I do of photographics of people. Sorry. This is from a photo album that I had from the 20s, where the person who put the album together put these cute little tags on all the photos, and they were typed in red, which I thought was really sweet. Just kids again. Another little collage thing. This is just a little tuck spot from some of this tape that I got. It's the same tape on both sides, just two different colors. And this could also be a text spot or journaling. I didn't put anything on this because I love the library stamp and the black and white image and then the bright yellow border. I just thought that was really colorful and pretty just like that, so I left it. This is another illustration from the My Book House series, as is this one. They're just really, the illustrations are primarily in orange and teal, in various shades of orange and teal, but I love the continuity of those illustrations, and I've been getting those books for years and cutting out the illustrations. This is just a little envelope paper, craft scrapbook paper, and then this is from a book, the end papers from a book. This is really fragile, so I've very lightly glued it on and not done anything else to this because this breaks when you barely touch it. But I love the writing. The penmanship is beautiful. This is from France. I bought a bunch of these floral cards, which I thought was a nice contrast to the botanical print behind. Just a little spot on this plain white page. I have a collection of greeting cards that I got, so I'm trying to include some of those in the books that I make too. This could be a tuck spot. I did not put anything in it. Could journal on here. Green, green, green. Added a little lace to this old card, which has some writing on it. I think this is from the 40s, and it was a business thing. And then there's a business type greeting postcard there, U.S. issued. Simple little journaling spot, a tuck spot. She could add something in there or move something from a previous page and tuck it under there if she wanted to. And I, again, wrapped it around, stapled it onto the page, and then covered it with washi tape just because sometimes the staples are a little too much. So I included this, which is from a book on practicing your penmanship. It's written by somebody, a child, a young person learning how to write. So I thought it was kind of cool, again, to see somebody else's writing. And this card is from a series of educational cards that Coca-Cola put out in the 50s and 60s, I think. I'm coming to the tail end of those, so I need to find some more. Bus stubs and tickets. This is another little glassine envelope that I tea stained this weekend, and I glued it to the page and then created a little private journaling spot here. This is a contemporary tag that I chopped off part of the tag. It was one of those, commercial contemporary ones. It has a, I don't know, I didn't like it much, but I like the pattern, but I kind of altered it and tea stained it and put it in here. So this is bits of map tucked behind this old travel game. New York, New Haven, and Hartford Railroad. I think it's a version of Monopoly, but I picked these up in the bins, so I don't actually know what the game was called. The greeting card here is from Northwest Orient Airlines, their Asian thing, and I just picked up the reds because there's red in the map on the back and red in all of these elements here. A little bit of red in this tiny bit of paper, which kind of ties in with the red over here. I try to do that, kind of like try to move you through the experience by tying in one page to the next page in a very subtle way. Sometimes not so subtle, but I got these really cool patterns. These are embroidery patterns which you would steam onto your fabric, and then they would be like the template that you would use for creating embroidered linens. So these are vintage cards, which I've turned into journaling tags, journaling things. I like the male and the female version of it. I picked up these at an estate sale, I think. And again, the green, there's not green in here, but it's from the same deck of cards. So there's orange and then green, and then I like this little green thing. I have actually tacked this stamp down because it kept moving, but it could be untacked. It's just really a couple of dots. This is also a vintage jelly label from, I think, the 70s or 80s. I like this. This is actually from a pillowcase. Crocheted embellishment, which was not used. It was made to be sewn on, but it never was, and I liked it. So there's a little wishing you well card. This is just, I left this little house all by herself. Little tags. A collection of glassine envelopes that I dyed this weekend, along with some wrapping paper that I found in the bins, and I used this wrapping paper throughout in various spots, kind of red and orange, ties in with all the red and orange throughout the book. So this is a map from Quebec, vintage. Whoops. Red. I hope it's red all over. So another one of my orphan earring clips there. This is a copy, a printed copy from an old pattern, but I just thought that it kind of tied in with the whole thing that I was going for. 15 cents for seam binding. Long time ago. Navy blue and red. Navy blue and red. I've had this ribbon for a while too, and it's really beautiful. I love it. This is just a little newsletter advertisement, early advertisement, but it's kind of cool. This little bit is from the inside of a spine of a book that I deconstructed. I love the texture. Chester City, I've been there. It's from my family's from that region. British bus tags. There's a card with nature on it. I liked the tree and the green leaves on that page. I just picked up these little notepads this weekend too, so I've included those. I cut it apart and then I just overlapped the page on from the top down, so it's a wraparound, but it's a wraparound from the top of the page instead of vertically or horizontally, I should say. Here we go. A W. And yeah, here we go. So I just deconstructed a pattern. I love this little dress, and it's not smocked this way, but it does have a nice detail on the bodice here for this little girl. And I liked the smocking here. I used to have a dress that was smocked when I was a kid. So blank for spot. Oh, and I also wrapped the pattern number across the top. Some illustrations. Another one of those florist cards. And then I left these blank because, for two reasons. I was running out of steam, and this is late. And I also wanted to leave her some space to actually do some work herself. So I got these this weekend too, little cards. Everybody who sees this ribbon loves it, so I've included a little bit of that. This could be a place to private journal. So cover that up with this beautiful stuff from the 1890 something. I love the fineness of the writing. So there you go. It's done. I just have to put my tag in here so she knows where she can find me. And I use ledger paper in the front and back again on this one, 25 on the back, and I think the front is 24. So I do put a fair amount of thought into the construction of these and how I want it all to fit together. It's eclectic, I know, but it's not random. So anyway, thank you for looking, and I hope she likes it.